So I know a certain amount of people are going to be watching this and going, wait a minute, somehow Jason's either selling out black people or he's not acknowledging racism and all that, which is a perfect segue to what got you in hot water last week. You were trending on Twitter, which is pretty good. Did you know you were trending?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, you were trending on Twitter. So you said something about LeBron James and racism. Let's go there and see if we can get you in some more hot. You want to go in more hot water or less hot water? You want me to add hot?
I like hot water.
All right, let's turn up the heat.
So, listen, I think LeBron James is well-intentioned. I think a lot of what LeBron James does is excellent. I think his work in Akron with poor people and the people of his community there is awesome. I think that what I'm trying to communicate to us as African Americans is that we have to adopt strategies that actually work in the long term and even in the short term. And wallowing in any way in victimhood, particularly over hurt feelings or name calling. Because again, he was called allegedly on his gate the worst name in my book you can be called. Yeah. I get it. But at the end of the day...
So someone painted it on the gate outside his house, right?
Allegedly. And again, remember, it was removed before the police got there by LeBron's staff. By 6:30 in the morning, they had repainted this fence, and the police were handed a picture of it. Okay, I'm not questioning the sincerity of it. I'm just telling you the facts.
Yeah, some people are actually questioning that, but that aside.
That aside. So again, at the end of the day, that's hurt feelings. LeBron's feelings were hurt, his family. There was no jeopardy. It's a second home. They weren't there. We don't even know who the assailants were. And so I'm saying as there was a time when our victimhood was powerful. And so you go back to the 1960s, 1950s, when we were denied the right to vote, when we were denied to go into schools, when we were denied where we could sit on a bus, where we couldn't sit in stadiums, certain place, when there was Jim Crow segregation on the books. Mm-hmm. True victimhood that moved people, like people would sit back and go, man, that ain't right. We got to fix that. That's unfair. That's a human being. And we're denying them the same rights as everyone else. And so playing up our victimhood at that point during the Martin Luther King, it was tremendous strategy and it worked. And it won us rights. And so instead, what I've seen ever since the death of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X is we as African Americans, first with, and I don't want to denigrate Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. I just want to speak factually about them. I actually know both of them, have some respect for both of them. But they came in and mimicked Dr. King. When Dr. King had won the battle for rights, and that's all America promises you, rights. America does not promise you your feelings will never be hurt. America doesn't promise you that people will never call you a bad name. The world doesn't promise you that. America's Constitution promises you rights. They want us those rights. So our next leaders and our next movement had to be about how do we take advantage of these rights we've won? Mm-hmm. Instead, Jesse and Al, and most of us as African Americans, we're still mimicking Dr. King and that movement and think there's some rewards to be won by playing up our victimhood. And so to me, what I would have wanted LeBron James to say in that moment was, man, this is terrible. It's a bad reflection on whoever the idiot is that did that. But trust me, I'm going to be fine. And as African Americans, we need to understand, I'm so wealthy, I can take care of this. There is some real discrimination that goes on, mostly with poor people of color and mostly with poor people. That's where our energies need to be focused. The drug war, mass incarceration, these issues have real impact. We can't get overly emotional when some random white person that we think is white can't have that much control over our happiness.
Yeah. Do you think we just simply ask too much of our athletes? That this thing happened, if we go with the official story that happened, so this thing happens, we still don't know who did it, but then the media starts talking about it, you say what you say, everyone on ESPN says what they say, and that for LeBron to do what you just asked him to do, It's like he's in the middle of the finals right now. They don't
Great
want
point.
all these distractions. And it's like he's trying to, his team's down 2-0 as we tape this. He's trying to figure that out. And yet we go to these people as if they're gods that are going to solve all our problems.
Great point, and it's another point I agree with in terms of, as I'm saying, the leadership, civil rights leadership needed to change. Our expectation for athletes needed to change coming out of the 1960s. Muhammad Ali never had a corporation like Nike handing him $500 million over the course of time.
Right.
If you had put those puppet strings on Muhammad Ali in the 1960s, some Nabisco or Pepsi or some tobacco company put their hooks into Muhammad Ali for $500 million, he would operate completely differently. And so our expectations for athletes need to change because their situation has changed. There's never going to be another Muhammad Ali. No how, no way. The financial rewards, and again, I'm someone, Dave, I know you're an atheist. I grew up in a small Baptist church. I'm a spiritual person and believe in the things taught in the Bible. It's very hard for a rich person, no matter how great they are, to ever see the kingdom of God. And the point of that's Matthew 19:24. The point of that is, you should probably be a little suspicious of the rich. They have so many demands on them that it's hard for them to keep it real for the poor and people that are really disadvantaged. It's not because they're horrible people. It's just the demands on them make it real, real hard. And so LeBron James, Muhammad Ali did well, but the Nation of Islam was in his pocketbook. The money in the 1960s wasn't nearly what it is now. And he was denied the right to box for 3 years. So he was not a super wealthy person. He was basically mostly in the same boat as the great mass of African Americans. LeBron James is not. So it's very hard for him to keep it 100% authentic to that group of people. Now, again, his heart can be there. He can remember what it was like for him when he was poor. But at the end of the day, the demands on him are such, he just can't be Muhammad Ali.
What I think is most interesting about that is you're not making a judgment call on either one of them as people.
No.
You're acknowledging the reality of, you're not saying Muhammad Ali would have acted this way. It's just a reality. If someone has $500 million coming to him, something's going to change. Something's going to change. Doesn't mean you're inherently evil or inherently good, but the ball has moved.
I think LeBron's a great person. I think Muhammad Ali was a great person. I think LeBron's doing the best that he can. I think he is now surrounded by and associating with some political people. And I don't trust political people. When he started campaigning for Hillary Clinton, I was like, show me where Muhammad Ali campaigned for anybody. And maybe he did, but certainly not in his prime.
He fought more for ideas than a candidate or a party.
Yes. Yeah. And so when I saw that, I was like, And so when I saw his speech last Wednesday, I was like, man, that smells like Bill Clinton. That smells like Bill Clinton said, make them believe you feel their pain, LeBron. That's the best thing you can do in this moment. And that's great brand enhancement. That's where all these corporations right now want to be. That, we're for equality. But don't look at the Vietnamese people. We're paying a penny to make these shoes. We're for equality, just not in Vietnam.
Yeah, right. So Nike makes these shoes that we all have. I just did Nike IDs myself, so I've got them. Or a lot of these athletes will. LeBron, for example, and again, I'm not judging him for this specifically, but he's a Sprite guy. He does all those Sprite commercials. Would his trainer ever tell him to drink Sprite? Of course not.
Look, man.
Yeah, take all that high fructose corn syrup. That's good for you, LeBron. Get a couple of those in you before the big game.
Dave, I'm overweight. We know what that stuff does to all people, but particularly poor people and particularly African Americans. The soft drink companies, got us with diabetes and high blood pressure and everything else. But again, I'm not knocking LeBron. Make your money, but don't parade around like your actions are about what's best for the poor. And again, he may think that if I'm LeBron James and I come out and say, oh, we're all in the same boat and racism, my life is terrible because I'm black here in America, or it's tough. I don't know, he didn't say terrible, it's tough. And I'm like, come on, man. Your life is tough? Being an African American here in America with all that money? with all that you can do for your family and friends? Most people are struggling living paycheck to paycheck. LeBron James, I'm not knocking him, this is great. His best friend, Maverick Carter, before Maverick Carter quit college at like 21, 22 because LeBron made Nike give Maverick a job that paid him in the six figures. And that's a dream life. Yeah. That's not, I don't know where on the planet he's going or where in the universe or in the galaxy he's going where things are going to be much better.
Yeah. Do you think that this specific issue of taking athletes and then thinking that they have to represent the whole community or say everything perfectly or all that this is actually unique to the black community? Because I've noticed whenever a black athlete or former athlete speaks out and says something more in line of the way you were talking, so when Charles Barkley has said some stuff about this, or Stephen A. Smith has said some stuff about this, anything that sounds like it leans a little to the right, they get attacked mercilessly. I mean, I clicked your name when I saw the trend. I clicked it, and there were thousands of people calling for you to be fired, calling you all kinds of words that I'm not going to say to your face here. I mean, really terrible stuff that for any of you guys that, or not just athletes, but people that talk about sports, you do anything that's a little bit out of that, and the assault is pretty merciless.
It's a message to the rest of the media and every other black public figure: don't do it. Because most people, I'm uniquely, I don't give a F. And so, I told someone the story. I told Colin Cowherd this story the other day about my family. We'd have family get-togethers at the holidays. And as a 5, 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid, I would be preaching to my family about what I thought they were doing wrong or what we were doing wrong. And I didn't care that it bothered people. And so I don't care what people over Twitter say about me. But the overwhelming majority of media members and celebrities, they do care. Who wants to be bombarded with all that filth? And to have people, and then sit there and go, oh, my bosses, my kids, my husband, my wife, my mom and dad may go to my Twitter feed and see people saying all this stuff about me. I just better stay away and be quiet because I don't want to subject myself or my family to that. It's silencing people. It's so people, again, what I keep saying about Twitter has made media, celebrities, and athletes, we're all politicians now. And Twitter is our exit polling. And everything we say is calculated to think, oh, well, how's this going to land over Twitter? Am I going to get crucified for this? Someone will call me an Uncle Tom or a sellout. And so people don't say what they really think. And then what they do say is meant to get retweeted and loved over Twitter. And the biggest point I keep trying to make is from Twitter to Instagram to Snapchat to Google to Facebook, this is all coming from San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And the values and sensibilities that they have in San Francisco are being pushed on the media and celebrities through social media.
All right, so I'm glad you brought this up because the first time we had communicated, you messaged me on Twitter and said something to this effect, that the values of the left and the liberals have been shifted from traditionally being in New York, they've shifted to San Francisco. So can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I think if people have been talking about, damn, the media's changed, and it has changed. New York used to control the media. Everybody wanted to work in New York, a magazine, newspaper, TV. Make it to New York. And so everything, all the serious journalism awards came out of New York or, that far East Coast. And so the traditional New York working class, labor liberal was basically the values that were reflected by the media. It certainly had a left-wing bias, but to me, New York liberals are people that are trying to perfect America. hey, America, if we just do this and this, we'll be better.
Yeah. So this would be like maybe like a JFK liberal,
Yes.
or a Daniel Patrick Moynihan liberal.
Without question.
Yeah.
And I'll say
Those
this.
are my kind of liberals.
Right. I'll
Yeah.
say this, and heads are going to explode.
Uh-oh.
A Donald Trump-like liberal.
Well, I know we got our promo now.
And so,
But what do you mean by that? Let's not gloss over that, because I know you hit on it earlier. But what does that actually mean?
that if you really look at what Donald Trump stands for, he's more in line with JFK than Ronald Reagan, without question. The guy could care. He's pro-gay marriage. He's a social liberal.
Yeah.
His friends are diverse. He as long as you're willing to have a good time, Donald Trump's good with you.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Did you see that absurd fake outrage when he had all those black business leaders in the White House, and Kellyanne Conway, I guess, she either took the picture or someone took the picture, and her foot's on the couch, and everyone made it about that, her being disrespectful to the office. Meanwhile, he's standing there with a ton of black people who can have tremendous, and do have tremendous influence to change things, and somehow that's the part that we forget about. We're upset about Kellyanne Conway's foot.
So, my point.
Yeah.
New York media was in control of everything. Everyone catered their perspective, point of view to some degree to please New York, because everybody wants to make it to New York and make it there. The advent of social media and the importance of going viral, of being retweeted and liked, of executives basing their decisions on how many Twitter followers do you have? It's become a popularity contest, and whoever has the biggest following is the greatest thing in the media. And once people figured out, oh man, I can rig Twitter, I can buy followers, I can buy retweets, I can say certain things, because again, when you talk about Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the employee base is all coming from San Francisco. And to me, San Francisco is a different kind of liberal. It's a revolutionary liberal. The Black Panther Party is from there. It's a liberal that was like, nah, you know what, America ain't right. We need to start all over from scratch. And I'm just not someone that wants to start all over from scratch. I'm not someone who buys the narrative that America is so bad and so evil that it must be scrapped and started all over again. America is incredibly flawed, like everybody else on the planet. And America has made really horrible mistakes. But America's also done, in my view, more good than just about everybody else. And America, again, overcame slavery and overcame Jim Crow to the point that Oprah could do what she did, President Obama could do what he did, Muhammad Ali could do what he did, I can do the little bit that I'm doing. And again, it was an ugly fight, but we won some rights and created some opportunities. So I'm not for blowing up America. I'm for, perfecting and still trying to improve America.
Yeah. Well, I always love talking to someone from a different walk of life that I agree with so much on a philosophical level. There's a lot of bad stuff here, of course,
Yes.
but there's a lot of good stuff. And if the opportunity is equal, then that's what true equality is, and that's what we have to always work for. But we've got more here than pretty much anywhere else.
Well, look, and we're dealing with more diversity than just about anybody else. This is really the melting pot, and so people are like, "Oh my God, there's racism here." But well, of course there is, because we have more people. And again, I say this all the time. I'm not defending racism. I'm acknowledging it and acknowledging the fact that throughout the world's history, it's never not been here. It's not going away. People's minds will not be perfected on this planet. And so we can't control what everyone thinks. And it's foolish to try to control and to think that every white person, whoever it was that did this vandalism at LeBron's house, we're probably not going to fix that person. And it's okay.
In a way, is that the real function of success of a movement, that the arc has bent to justice so that we now look at little things and blow them out of proportion? So again, it's just as you're saying, you're not defending what the guy wrote on LeBron's gate, of course not, but that is nothing compared to being hung up by a tree or not being able to use the same water fountain or any of that. So it's a function of success. You can't make everything disappear.
But here's where I think things get dangerous, and because I want to be clear, because people run away. Well, Whitlock is out here celebrating Trump. I really believe that this irresponsible way that we talk about race is why we have a reality TV star sitting in the White House. And that's dangerous. We shouldn't, the world's most powerful country shouldn't have a reality TV star who's unqualified sitting in the White House. But because of the way we have mishandled the racial discussion in America, it's created an opportunity for someone like Donald Trump, in my view.
So I'm with you that the trends of all of this are born out of what's happening online. And I've done a couple of videos about it. And I even get caught in it. Just this past weekend, on Friday, I tweeted, "I'm getting off the grid." And that's it. I put a little Matrix picture up. I said, "I'm off the grid." Then I think it was Saturday, the London attacks happened. And I heard about it, obviously, just from flicking the TV and from friends and whatever. And I immediately had this feeling like I had to get back on there and say something, or I had to share my thoughts or something. And I didn't do it. And I fought every impulse to do it, because I realized I'm one guy. Some people look to me for some information, but if I can't just sit one out, that is a huge problem for us personally. So we all have the personal burden of this too, in a weird way.
I think without question, what I've done to my Twitter feed is, like, if you don't have a registered phone number or email, I don't see your tweets. I don't see. You can tweet at me, but I just don't see them.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to
do you feel that need, though, that need to
disconnect? Yes.
Well, no, but not only this need to disconnect, but the need to comment. So something happens, and then a certain amount of people are going to look to you.
Yes.
Even though you're a sports guy, they're going to look to you and go, "Well, what happened?" Do you feel that need?
I feel it, but here's what I've tried to set up as my precedent, and it's maybe a futile attempt, but my motto with Twitter has always been, judge my columns, enjoy my tweets.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying, don't even take this shit serious, because it's really not. Now, when I go sit down to write a column, that's what I really believe. Twitter is what people think. And there is a huge disconnect between what we think and what we believe.
Yeah.
I think I'm the best looking man on the planet. I think that Holly Berry should be beating down my doors to date me. Do I really believe that? Not really. And so we all think stupid things.
Yeah.
I mean, and we all think inappropriate things. We think racist things, but do we believe them? Your thoughts help develop what you believe. But, a lot of the things we think we know are inappropriate, we know have no merit, but everyone reacts to Twitter like it's someone's belief, and it's just not.